you live.
Right. I'm in St. Louis full time, so Central Time Zone. And
Okay.
then we have people in, like, David's in Austin, and we've got probably 4 people here. We've got a team in Indianapolis. We've got Elise's in Michigan, so we're pretty virtual overall. But we just had a company Christmas party last weekend. We do it early usually, so that was great to see everybody, all in St. Louis together. But
That's awesome. It's always good to see everybody in person. There's so many
love it.
Florida people in the chat. I'm loving seeing
Nice.
y'all in here. Eric, I see you're South Florida. Where are you in South Florida?
Love it. And if you're watching on social as well, I put the banner at the bottom, but it's just hbchallenge.com. If you want to join us for the next 3 days, just go there, sign up free, and you'll be able to get into the actual webinar jam where we've got the homework, the giveaways, all that stuff. So
I love it. Okay,
right.
Matt.
Fantastically. Yeah, let's kick this thing off. All right. So again, good morning, everybody. Appreciate you people joining from all over the place. All kinds of different time zones represented here. Again, I'm in St. Louis. If anyone's local here, always looking to connect with people in the St. Louis area or Kansas City area as well. Really, really excited to be able to do this with you, Heather. I know, like, we did an initial challenge. When was that? Back? It was over the summer sometime, I believe. It was been a little bit. And that was really, really fun. Like, to see people dive into it and not just, like, in theory listen to this stuff and be like, oh yeah, someday I'll do it, but actually, challenge people to take action on it and lead with action and learn by doing and get out there and really follow through with this stuff. And that's what our goal is here today too, over these next 3 days, is to give you these a step-by-step playbook, a true set of actions to take. So that way you can come out of this and be ready to go and ready to be, again, on that financial freedom fast track where you know the game plan. You've seen, we're helping you make sure that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You'll see that this is a playbook that we've pulled from people who've done literally over 10,000 deals using DealMachine. And, it doesn't matter if you're using DealMachine or not through this. Like, we're going to give you a lot of free bonuses if you want to try us out. But regardless, like the 3 things that people do, which we're teaching today, tomorrow, and the next day, over and over again, those are the 3 things. Those are the 3 stepstones that lead to doing deals and going off market and finding really, really incredible deals that people are looking to, trade you bringing value to them, you solving a problem for them for a good deal. So that's our goal with this entire challenge, is to help you come out there, help you, build a list of motivated sellers, help you, take action on that list of motivated sellers, and then help you start closing deals and really kind of give you that playbook to go out there and be excited to do this the rest of this year and into 2024. So Heather, is there anything there in terms of, like, timing for this, of why you're excited to jump into this, before the end of the year?
There is. I see so many of you on social media talking about your goals and commenting on my reels that are related to different asset classes of real estate. And there's only so much information I can give you in this, like, 30-second clip in a reel, right? Because there's so many questions in there that are like, how do I evaluate this deal? Or how do I find that first park? And that there's only so much I can tell you in 30 seconds. So we really want to set you up for 2024 and give you the tools that you need to actually find your first deal, so that 2024 is the year that you take action. I don't want you going into 2024 the same as you have some other years where you've got these goals and you end up towards December like we are now and you're going, oh my gosh, there's only 3 weeks left and we haven't done anything yet. So please show up to all 3 days of this challenge and make sure that you're taking notes and that you are ready to execute on this, so that in 2024 is actually your year that you buy this property that you have been talking about, dreaming about. Some of you put it in your visions. We're actually making it happen this year. So show up for all 3 days, take your notes, and actually execute on it this time.
Absolutely. And Heather, I think you nailed that too. Like, right now is such an exciting time to get into this. I know in general, as an investor, we can provide more value to sellers in times of uncertainty. And, that's where we're at right now. I mean, you hear all kinds of different things from the Fed, obviously. I mean, in general, this time of year as well, things slow down. Like people mail it in. People are like, I got my 2024 New Year's resolution. Like I'll wait till then. And that's why I love doing this now, a couple weeks before then, is that you can get ahead of the game. You can get yourself off on the right foot. You can, build plans and then start taking action on those plans that you'll see through this, the next 3 days too. And that way you start off 2024. And like you said, make 2024 your year by kicking this thing off the right way. So now is the time to step up. Now is the time to take action. Again, Matt Camp over here with DealMachine. Like I love to lead these, lead these challenges and be able to come in and really, again, share what we see working. Again, a lot of it's going to be showcased inside the DealMachine app as well. Of okay, if you're going to take action on this using DealMachine, here's step-by-step how to do that. But regardless of that, like across the board, we're going to be sharing that knowledge with you and saying, hey, here's that playbook that's worked in all kinds of markets. I mean, we've been around for 6-7 years now, seen ups and downs, seen people, doing deals in extremely competitive markets. We've seen people do deals in really rural markets. We've seen all over the board. And that's really where we're pulling this from. So the main thing we want to combat for you guys is where most investors have trouble getting started, is that they just don't know how or where to go find that great deal. And so that's the next 3 days. That's our goal here, is to give you that playbook, to break it down, to make it very approachable, very, actionable, able to come in and really know exactly what to do from this, and really use this as your chance to transform your financial life by getting off on the right foot, right now for the next couple of days and into 2024. And we've seen this over time again when we do these challenges, is that, hey, we've got people like Mark right here who stepped up and said that he transformed his life in a positive way and literally made memories that are lasting a lifetime because it's him. And he even inspired his children to get in on this and join him on this journey and go through this challenge. And so he's really used this as an opportunity to kind of launch, generational wealth and be able to really build that mindset for the next generation within his own family. Jared was another one who said, hey, if it wasn't for this challenge, I don't think I'd get on the horse and take action. That's what this is all about, is giving you those action steps. And then Santiago was, the last one to really come in and say like, hey, yeah, as long as you take small, consistent actions daily, this stuff works. And so that's what we want to show you, is here are those consistent actions to take. Here's that roadmap to take, and let's get you started off on the strongest foot possible going into next year. So, I will mention, Heather, before we get into the real training on this, I want to talk about just briefly David's journey. I know you've heard this before, but for everyone new on here, I wanted to share this too really quick here. David's somebody who, started DealMachine, and way before that, when he was brand new to real estate, he, was moving from St. Louis, where I'm from, where I'm based out of. He's somebody who I've known forever. He's been a good friend of mine for a long, long time. I saw him move from St. Louis, was in a tech job that he was really burnt out on, and moved to Indianapolis, was trying to figure out like, how can I do something different? How can I really change what I'm doing? He was taking calls in the middle of the night, like tech support calls and all kinds of stuff, where it's just, man, I need a different lifestyle change here. And, as he did that, he was also informing himself. He was investing in himself. He was coming to webinars like this. He was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. He read the 4-Hour Workweek. He read these books that showed him the power of real estate and how it's the best wealth generating tool out there. And then also, books that said, hey, you can have a different lifestyle, a different way of doing things in terms of earning income. And so he was very inspired to make a real change. And he went through this. And when he moved to Indianapolis, he really took some time out and said, hey, I'm going to give this real estate thing a try. And as he went through this, he tried all kinds of different strategies. He went to a lot of networking events. He started to really pour into himself, day to day, and really making it a habit in his life. And as he went through this, he learned two main things of trying to find that first deal. He learned that, hey, the best deals, the ones that again, you make money when you buy, the best deals come when you go direct to seller, when you go directly to properties that aren't already raising their hand and saying like, hey, come in, give me 1 million offers here. Like he went off market to find these deals. And two, he needed to build a system to talk to enough sellers that they might be willing to, sell at a discount because you're solving a problem for them. And you're coming in and be able to create a win-win situation where you're getting a great deal and you're, again, solving a problem for them with, the tools that you have at your disposal. And so when David went through this, he started to realize, hey, I can use my tech background to help myself go accomplish these two goals. Help me find enough people and talk to, reach out to them enough times that I can have conversations with motivated sellers. And, that's where DealMachine was born for himself. Was he created, this is version 1. It looks a little bit different today. This was very, very rough outline of the first one, where he would, again, add properties and then make it really easy to reach out to those sellers. And so, that's where DealMachine was born. That's where our perspective is coming from. That's where this playbook is coming from, is David's journey, our customer's journey. Again, we've had over 10,000 deals done using real estate or using DealMachine, all focused on giving them the power of real estate investing, giving everyone the power of real estate investing using technology. And we're really proud to say we're the highest rated, most reviewed app out there to go do that. So what we're going to be sharing with you guys over these 3 days is exactly what people like David started, what people, all over the US has done. That playbook that across the board has been in common for all of them, whether you're using DealMachine or not. So your next 3 days, that's what it's going to look like. Is every day we're going to get on here, same time, same place, this exact link. So make sure to bookmark this, where we're going to be coming on, and we will be sending out the replays. So I know somebody asked about that in the chat earlier. We will be sending out the replays, each day as well. But if you come on live, that's where you can go in, ask questions, really get to use Heather's time wisely. I know she's been awesome to team up with this and share her time, especially, this time of year. I know things are, always crazy end of year. And then in general too, we're going to give you guys the opportunity to go out, network with each other, like use this as a great opportunity to meet each other as well, which I saw people already networking in the chat. Please do that. We've had people literally find future business partners in the chat on these before. So make sure to be really proactive there. And then, also turn in the homework. And if you show up live, we're going to be giving away over $2,000 of free stuff. So on top of all this, if you actually take action on this stuff over the next 3 days, we'll give you that opportunity. Again, this is only, it's today, tomorrow, the next day. So it's a little bit of a sprint here. But as we go through this, we're going to be giving you an opportunity to follow through with those right action steps. That's not only going to help you these next 3 days, but propel you into an amazing 2024 together. So I wanted to make sure that everyone knew kind of how the challenge was going to work. Heather, any thoughts there on, I know the last one. Yeah. Is there anything from the last one that stands out that was exciting to kind of share with people here?
I think seeing it's been, I don't know, a couple months at this point since we've done one of these, and it was super exciting to see like over 100 of y'all on here taking action on this, because it is the biggest question that I get in my DMs, is how do I find an RV park? Because they aren't on the MLS. They aren't with a local broker typically. And if they are, those people are hard to find because you don't know which one it's going to be. And in that case, those are already on the market. So most of us aren't total beginners. We know that as much as you can buy some deals on the market, they aren't always the best deal. And I know a lot of times influencers will show y'all a product or tell you about a product, and it's because they're being paid to do that. This is something that I actually use. If you watch my stories on social media, you'll see that, like my daughter's birthday this past year, she wanted to use DealMachine on her app and drive around the car and find a property. Like that was what she wanted to do for her birthday.
So awesome.
This is a tool that I actually use to find deals. So I'm super excited to share it with y'all, since it's one of the things that you struggle the most with is figuring out how to find those RV parks, the self-storage, the mobile home parks, those unique asset classes. Where do you find them? How do you contact the owner? You're going to learn all of those things from us over the next 3 days. So make sure you're here for all of it and that you don't miss that. Super excited to start with y'all.
Absolutely. So today, I know, again, the main focus for day one is helping you take that initial step. And it's a 3-step playbook over these 3 days. And I'll share a bunch of little individual nuances on exactly how to do this most effectively. But the day one theme here is going to be building a niche of motivated sellers by using data and stacking those motivations to find the intersection of the most motivated sellers in your market. And so, you can apply this across the board. Where we're really going to be focusing on this today is showing some of those niche asset classes that Heather's talking about there. Like we'll try to look at things like self-storage. We'll try to look at things like mobile home parks, RV parks. This is built across the board to help you find all kinds of different assets. I mean, we have at this point over 150 different data filters that you can tap into. And, the different types of properties that you can be looking at. We have people doing everything from single family home to multifamily to, name the asset, as niche as you can possibly get. We probably have data on it. So really excited to show off exactly how to do it inside DealMachine. I know If everyone, in this, if you're going to be following along and using DealMachine to try this out in your own market as well, and you can even be doing this live with us, I'll put up that link here for you guys in a second if I can find that for you. Let's see here. We have a 7-day, here we go, 7-day free trial there for you. You do get some awesome special challenge bonuses. And we're going to be talking about this again tomorrow as well. But the big one that we just announced like 2 weeks ago is the ability to get unlimited free contact information. So, that's something that people spend, hundreds or thousands of dollars a month on skip tracing in our industry to go find, contact information for motivated sellers. Now that is built into DealMachine, already comes with you, already comes with the 7-day free trial. So that is a huge announcement we just dropped about 2 weeks ago. The free trial you get with this, that's going to come with it, as well as 50 free 50-ish free postcards, 50 or so. Free postcards to reach out to directly to sellers, which day 2 is going to be really focused on marketing to those sellers. And you'll really get to know what the skip tracing's for, what the postcards are for. Today is all about finding that list of motivated sellers to begin with. How do we even get in touch with the right people that are potentially looking to sell? So we'll train you up on that today. Again, if you're watching on social media, what I'm going to do here as well is I'm going to stop the screen share on that one because we're going to be digging into the software, showing off data on the software as well. So if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, make sure, again, it's hbchallenge.com to be able to register for this and get the full view of everything we're going into in the software. And then also, if you're going to try out DealMachine through this, it's just dealmachine.com/HB is where you're going to get all the free bonuses with this challenge that we're going to be showing off today in this training. So, Heather, any of your thoughts or questions there before we dig into this? Or
no, I think we're ready.
All right, awesome. So to kind of begin with here, what I do want to mention, let me jump into DealMachine here. Can you see the DealMachine software there? Hopefully now. All right, awesome, cool. So digging into this here again, step 1 is really the lifeblood of the business. It's finding properties that you're going to be reaching out to. It's you can't have a great deal unless you start being proactive on building that list of addresses, building that list of properties to begin with. And so using this inside the DealMachine app, our whole goal is to help you just really give you data that's as actionable and as fast as possible. So getting in there, being able to make it as simple as possible for, if you're brand new to real estate, if you've never done a deal before, put that in the chat. If you're a newbie, I know we usually get a ton of newbies on here, which is awesome. I want to make this simple and easy for you as well. If you don't have much real estate experience, that's okay. We're here to help you kind of take that next step and use technology to help aid you. If you have done deals before, awesome. If you're ready to buy right now, awesome. We've also created the software to make it so that it's easy to use, but also as powerful as possible. So that way, if you're a more advanced investor, you can really dig into this thing and, have more advanced tools and kind of take it a layer deeper than it would be on the surface. So how we've really built this thing out, this is something that even since our last challenge, Heather, this is brand new looking, the list building tool right here. It used to be a little list builder button up here where you click on it and then it would pop over, over the top of DealMachine and be like another experience inside DealMachine overall. Now what you can see right here is you've got this top filter bar, you've got this right browsing bar on the right side, and then you've got this bottom bar, which is showing you in real time exactly how many properties fit your individual criteria. And so what we're going to be doing here is, again, the first step in this playbook, it's building a niche list of motivated sellers by using data and stacking those motivations. So inside the technology itself, what we're going to be looking at here is this top bar to filter it out. The right side is, again, you can browse this to kind of see individual properties, and we'll show you exactly what data matters there here in a few minutes. And then the bottom here is when you're ready to actually hit build list and get in touch with those sellers, this is where you're going to do it. Is you hit that build list button, and it's going to help you create a list of leads. Anytime you add an address, add a property, it's a lead inside DealMachine, and that means that's something you can take action on and reach out to that owner of. So looking at the map right here, that's kind of the general new layout. Everything you build in this is also a smart list, which means that it's a list of properties that's going to be dynamic. it's going to change over time. Like if you set a really specific criteria and then a property doesn't fit that criteria any longer, it's going to automatically remove that property from your list and stop marketing to that property if you have any marketing that's automated and going to it. And the reason being is like, hey, if a property doesn't fit that anymore, we want to just save you as much time as possible. We don't want you like chasing leads that aren't fitting your criteria anymore. And then also, we want you to save as much money as possible when it comes to marketing to these sellers. And so, it's going to automatically turn that off for you or turn that on for you too. If a property does hit your filters and wasn't on there earlier, you can set it to, it's going to be a smart list. So it'll add it to your list of leads. You'll see it there. And then you can set it to automatically market to that property owner, which tomorrow we're going to be really getting into marketing, what that means. So the main thing you need to know today is that, hey, you're building a list of motivated sellers. It's using the, very data that is updated daily. And it's a smart list that's going to be dynamic over time and, add properties and take them away if they fit your criteria or don't fit it any longer. So, I know this is something you'll see right away. If Heather jumps into her DealMachine app, like she'll see blue pins already on here. You don't see them within Orlando right here that I'm on because, I don't have any leads added currently right there. But those blue pins, those are all going to be properties that you have added to your list. Those are leads on your list right there. And again, we're going to be really focusing most of our time for list building on this top bar, this filter bar right here. So, when you go into the map, the first thing you're going to want to look at on this filter bar is all these data points you've got access to. And so, there's really kind of two main buckets, Heather, that we really talk about. And, feel free to step in anytime in terms of data points that you want to really highlight. Go ahead.
One of the things that he's talking about that I use this for, guys, is some of you, I know a lot of you commented that you're newbies. I'm so excited to see you here and that you're getting started with this and taking some action. And then I see Jason, who's in it on the corporate side and wants his own investment. So some of you are in professions or careers that that a little bit about marketing, and marketing is or maybe you went to business school a million years ago and you learned about marketing funnels. You have all these different leads pouring into your funnel and they drop out at different times. Some of these people are going to be distressed sellers and it's something you can buy immediately. Some of them are going to be not interested right now and you're communicating with them for the next 2 years before you can buy something. Different people's points of what Matt's going to talk to you about right now, they're going to pour out the bottom of your funnel at different times. And so when I buy a property, I go into DealMachine and I find all of the other like properties in the area so that even if I'm not ready to close on another one tomorrow, I know that I'm going to be in the near term because I like buying properties that are in the same area because of the economies of scale related to that, which is a whole nother conversation. If you have questions on, we can talk about in the Q&A portion. But I go through and I find all of those properties that are near something I've already bought. And so what Matt is teaching you to do, even if you think I'm only buying one deal or, I won't be able to buy another one for 2 years or whatever your thoughts are on that, you still want to do this ahead of time because some people are ready to sell tomorrow and some people are ready to sell in 2 years. So make sure you're really paying attention to how he shows you to do this in a market because you're going to want those properties that are close to each other.
Love it. So, an example in here, when you're really thinking about, those criteria buckets of like, how do you find these properties that Heather's talking about here? You really, we talk about kind of two major categories that you would start to filter these properties by. And that would be property criteria. So, criteria that fits the property itself, fits the asset itself. And then seller criteria. So, potential motivations of the seller themselves, what a situation they're dealing with, a problem that you can come in and solve. So how we really think about this together in real time, what I can show you on this top bar, you always want to start with kind of your, we'll start with the property criteria itself. We'll start with like a very general area to begin with and kind of narrow it down further and further. And when we say like stacking motivations, that means taking data and saying, hey, let's start with this big pool here. And then find me things that fit that big pool and also a smaller pool, and then also this smaller pool. And you can nail it down further and further and further. So that way at the bottom right here, you're going to see the number of properties in real time update and show you, hey, here's exactly how many properties are on your list, whether it's one property or 1,000 properties. It's going to show that in real time. And you're going to be able to get to that point where, hey, now I've got a list worth working, worth reaching out to. So one great example, I was going through this last night, Heather. I know we've had a few people on the DealMachine customer side based in Kentucky lately talking about some of these niche assets that you're talking about. So I do want to show off that to begin with. One example. So I know we talked through like self-storage, mobile homes, RV parks. Those are all different areas that obviously, you've got an expertise in. So I can pull up a couple of these here to kind of give people an example in real time of how this works. But when you want to first start off with, again, you want to start with an area. So whether it be a city, a zip code, a general area that you're going to invest in. Which, Heather, do you have any advice on selecting that city, selecting that zip code, selecting that area? I know that's a whole nother challenge we could probably do, but I love your kind of quick hit advice if that's possible.
Sure, you're right. It's a whole other challenge we could do. And it depends on your investing goals in general. Are you going to be, that we'll pick on Jason again. Is Jason going to keep his corporate job and buy his first investment that is his side hustle to start with before he leaves that corporate job? If that's the case, he probably needs a property where he can either run to it really quickly, within an hour of his house, or it needs to be something where he's going to hire out a management team. And so your decision on if like you're hiring a management team or you're self-managing, that's going to determine, does it need to be within an hour drive of my house, or could it be anywhere in the country? You're going to start building out your park profile, is what I call them for RV parks. It's very similar to any other asset class. What's your budget? What type of RV park or type of mobile home park are you looking for? And as you're narrowing down those things, that will help you narrow down your market. Because when you're buying single family homes or people who are flippers, a lot of times you're looking for things in your backyard. Well, these niche asset classes, there aren't going to be as many of them available. If you pick one zip code, I know for the RV park, Matt's picked Orlando, which is going to be unique. And there's probably 50 RV parks in Orlando. But typically when you pick a city, you might find one, you might find two, you might find none. So I typically narrow it down to a region. For example, I buy in the southeastern part of the United States. But when I started out, I only bought in East Tennessee. So you have to choose that region, a little bit bigger than a zip code probably. I teach my students who are wanting to leave their jobs and they need to stay close to home to look for an hour radius, because much further than an hour if you're driving regularly is too far unless you got a plane. So hopefully that helps a little bit on narrowing down exactly what you're looking for. Just know that it's not going to be like a single family home. You got to pick more than just a city when you're getting really serious about this.
For sure. Yeah. And I've already done a little bit of the legwork to kind of come up with the zip code, but I agree, like Heather, you do an awesome job with this with your students already. So like, that's a great deep dive there, but yeah, we could do an entirely separate challenge on like picking an asset class and, understanding, your based on your lifestyle that you want, like how, what to invest in and all of that. So, and I will leave a ton of time at the end here for you guys to ask questions as well. So that way, we can make sure that we help you guys get very excited to take action on this stuff and get out there and, participate over these next 3 days. So great questions in the chat already. Keep them coming. But one example here. So when it comes to like self-storage and mobile homes, we started, I came down with 40324 in Kentucky as an example. You want to start big, whether it be, county to down to zip code, that big area, right? And when you start to put that in the top, you'll see that get outlined in DealMachine in real time. And so, you'll see, hey, there's over 20,000 properties in that zip code overall. Awesome. Cool. Next step is, again, looking at property criteria. So you've got everything from, and this is, again, applicable for different asset types. So, you've got everything from like, you could look at, things like year built, if you want to really get specific there, that's a fantastic one for age of property. I know size of lot like that, or size of property, square footage in terms of a living area and all that type of stuff is right there for you. You've got bed and bath, if that, fits the asset type you're looking for. You've got all kinds of property characteristics. And, this is especially great for the new stuff we put in here. Like, again, we've over doubled the amount of data that we give you access to as of the last, month or so. So you've got things like, within property characteristics, everything from, if you're looking at, single family, I know we're not here, but as an example, you've got things like garages and number of stories and all kinds of cool stuff to tap into there to really kind of get very specific on your buy box. But you've got a lot of different information, whether it be zoning or land info or, tax info or all kinds of different filters to be able to tap into. What I'll say for this specific challenge, if you have an asset class that you're interested in, start there. Like make it, don't overthink that. Just go into the more button at the top and then type in property type here. And this is kind of the catch-all property type filter. And within that, you can look at things again. I know we talked about self-storage. Well, hey, here's storage right here. Mini warehouse self-storage right here, 2031 is the code within that. You click on that and you'll see in real time, hey, now we're down to 55 properties in this area. So it's automatically going to nail it down in real time for you to figure out, okay, awesome. If I'm looking at self-storage specifically, that's a pretty darn good list to begin with. Like that's that's manageable, it's workable, right? So starting there, you can be able to click into that. You can even go property by property where, if we're going to be able to go take that next step and say like, hey, yeah, I want to look at properties that, fit that particular criteria. The next level that you can dig down into is that seller motivation, right? It's that other bucket that we talked about, that seller criteria. And so you can look at on the top here, we've got quick filters around property types, mobile home being one of them. We've got quick filters around pricing, bed and bath, but this quick filter in general, bucket up here is really, we're going to find a lot of those seller motivations. This is where you can go into and see like, hey, yeah, find properties that were, expired listings. They were listed, didn't sell, and now, they're available. Find properties that, are vacant. Find properties that are free and clear. The equity is looking great. So I click on that filter. Now it's 100% free and clear. There's no liens against the property, anything like that. We've got 39 properties and went from 20,000 to 55 down to 39, right? And so we can continue to go. We've got tax delinquent properties. We've got foreclosure statuses, pre-probate, senior owner. Let's see if there's any senior owner. Okay, that's a pretty big overlap there with this asset. Tired landlord is another example. So you've got kind of these different motivations that you can click into that combines both the asset type and class of it with a potential situation that seller could be in or something that they might be dealing with right now to indicate, hey, is this a motivated seller or not? So that's kind of how to think it through in terms of data points you're overlapping. Is you've got the seller criteria, you've got the property criteria. Put those two things together, and you're come up with a really, really strong list that you can get even more specific. And this is more applicable if you're looking at like single family homes or something like that. But you can zoom in here and be able to go and say like literally block by block, hit the start draw tool right here, and click on draw and be able to draw a very specific area. And say like, hey, yeah, just show me properties in this, rectangle. And that's how you get even more specific, around everything we just showed there. So if I'm going to back out here, let me clear these filters here for me one more time. So I've got 40324 is where we started, right? We went down to, free and clear. And we went down to asset type was, I believe, self-storage we did here for property type. And, to give you another example as well, we've got self-storage. We can also look at, RV park, let's call it, or a mobile home rather. Mobile homes, that's another one that I know Heather talks about often. You can click into that and say, hey, show me properties that are either self-storage or mobile homes. Awesome. Now we're up to 208 properties that fit that are self-storage or mobile homes, free and clear in this very specific zip code in Kentucky. 208 properties. That's a pretty darn good initial list. That's pretty niche right there. Let me build that list, confirm build at the bottom right there. And you'll see in real time, that's going to load up. And again, every time you do that, it becomes a lead in the system. It becomes an address, an asset for you to be able to take action on tomorrow is what we're going to be doing with those properties. So as simple as that is think about the entire map, think about a big filter and then start to stack motivations, whether it be seller criteria or property criteria, nail it down further and further, and then pull that list of properties right there. Which, Heather, do you have any recommendations in terms of like how many leads is too many or too few? Like is there a sweet spot in your opinion at all? Or
I don't think I'm gonna say I don't think there's ever too many, but obviously you don't want to be sending out 20,000 mail outs. But with the niche asset classes, when you start narrowing it down, it's not going to be too many, because if you're like I said, if you're a flipper or a wholesaler, or even someone who buys single family homes, you're going to have so many. When you do a search like this, you're going to have thousands, and in some cities, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. Because we're looking at these niche asset classes, your lists aren't going to get too big. And the more you do this, and the more mail outs you send, you'll start getting communication back with these owners, and you'll learn some like filters or red flags that you need to start ruling out. And some of them are going to be area specific or industry specific. Like, for example, I start looking for properties that have had an owner for a really long time, like 20, 30, 40 years, because those are people that if it still hasn't transferred over to the next generation, that means they probably don't have somebody they're handing it down to. Because in our industry for RV parks, a lot of times they've been in the same family for 3, 4, 5 generations, and they traditionally have already handed it over. So if they haven't, that means that they are going to need that option. Another reason I like that is they usually don't have any debt left on the property. So it's easier to talk them into that seller financing or owner financing, because they've had this property they have no debt on. They also don't typically need this giant lump sum of money because they're older. Sometimes they'll give you a response that's like, yeah, but I'm 85. I'm only going to be around for so many years. And you talk them through how your contract will have those payments you're making to them monthly go on to their family, however they work that out in their will or in the contract that you're going to come up with them. And it's a really great way to find some of those creative finance deals when you search by like how long they've owned those properties. So you'll start to learn those different types of search features that you like, depending on your park profile and the area that you're in and how some of that stuff works out.
Absolutely. And I think, one of how we kind of cover that with this list that we pulled as well was that we use that kind of free and clear filter, which is going to help. I mean, gives you more of a chance. Obviously, they've got 100% equity. So it's like you said, that's a great kind of place to start, but then also a high chance that they haven't sold in a while. And we've got even more data that especially we're going to be digging into tomorrow when it comes to marketing strategy to help you figure out like, hey, who is this person that I'm contacting and trying to get in touch with? So, as we build this list of leads, I do want to mention, like, in terms of, yes, we've got these broad filters right here and great questions in the chat. We'll get to those here in just a few minutes. I'm showing these kind of broad filters in the map right here. When I pull that list of leads, you go to leads right here, and then, each individual property, you can go to that next level and not just have, those broad filters on the map overall, but you can actually view that property and see a property card pop up. And this property card is where, again, like, we've completely redesigned this, Heather, since last time we even did a challenge. So this is something that we're like excited to be able to make it just as easy and quick as possible for people to dig into. But we want to make it just very, very actionable in terms of the data that is in front of you, and like, what should you consume? What are the important things to call out? You'll see right here, it's got these property tags at the top, things like, oh, it's free and clear, high equity, it's off market, a couple things that are, it'll be tagged there if it says like, senior owner, or, it could be all kinds of different tags up there that are just kind of things to call out about the property itself. And then, or the seller. And then, as you dig into this, you'll see, okay, I've got things like, estimated equity, which if you click on any of these, the estimated value, really any of these tool tips right here, these question marks will help define exactly what you're looking at here. So like estimated value, for example, I saw somebody ask about that in the chat. That's something that's a range where we give you a confidence score. The higher the confidence score, the more confident that the algorithm is in terms of the value, and it'll give you a general range of low and high estimated value based on comps in the area. So you've got that built into DealMachine already being calculated for you right there. And so, you'll want to, if you see an estimated value that is spot on, awesome, click on that, see if the confidence score lines up. If you see one that might be a little off based on your own experience, well, hey, click on that confidence score and see where that's at. But if you jump into this, you'll see right away everything from property characteristics, land information about the property, tax info, rehab repair cost, and then HOA info. So you've got these separate areas to just quickly look at. And for the more advanced investor, if you really want to dig into this and see things like, oh, hey, let me see more about the property itself. And let me see more about the land itself. See, look, I've got zoning information, flood zones, the property class, all kinds of information to dig into on these individual properties. Tax information, rehab, repair cost again. So it really kind of makes it easy to consume quickly. But then for the more advanced investor, click into dig for more and find more and more data that's going to be informing you on if this is a good owner or not. So Heather, do you have any other tips in terms of like individual data points you really look at when you're pulling up a property to begin with? Or I know there's a lot to kind of look at right away, but
yeah, even piggybacking on the one you just said about flood zones. If you've been a single family home investor, you may think, oh crap, I'm not buying something in a flood zone. But really, you've really got to learn your asset class, because a ton of RV parks are going to be in a flood zone. And that's okay, because depending on the time of year it is, depending on what the statistical history is on the way that property floods, it is not uncommon for an RV park to be in a flood zone. And because the campers move, y'all, these aren't houses. You literally just have the site left over. And I know property owners who've really successful RV parks, and where they're located, they flood part of the year, which is their off season, and they come back in, they repair the damage, and they go on with their season each year. As crazy as that sounds, it's something weird that's our asset class. And I'm not telling you that's all RV parks. I'm just telling you it's not uncommon. So when you really get to learn and build on your skill of this asset class, you will start to learn little nuances about each type of property that you want to search to be able to get better and better and better at this.
Absolutely. So as you go through this as well, like, again, you're going to be pulling lists of properties, whether it be as small as a couple properties, as big as, 208 right here. Like you said, you want to be conscious of how you're marketing them in terms of how you're spending your time, how you're spending your marketing budget. So if you pull a big list of leads to start with, there are ways to filter it down further and further and get more exact with your marketing on those properties. But I agree, like there's, it can't be too big to start with. Like, hey, pull that list and start to filter it down from there. So that's really the main stuff I wanted to cover today, was how to go think through this, how to think through, how to navigate it, how to think through the process of have a big area and filter down further, continue to stack those motivations, think about seller criteria, think about property criteria. Here's a summary of some of those data points we talked about, whether it be zip code, a broad area, or even county, like Heather talked about, property type, digging into those unique property types. Owner type, that's a quick filter on there as well that you can be looking at to be able to say like, hey, yeah, show me properties that fit, again, like, things that are, absentee owned or corporate owned or out of state owned, things like that about the owner themselves. Equity we mentioned, things that are other specific motivations like foreclosures, loans that have different clauses attached to them. Like we've got adjustable rate mortgages, things like that in there. Expired listings, even if it's on market, you can look at things that, hey, what are things that have been on, have had a long number of days on market to indicate like, hey, these are properties that might be struggling to sell. And all of these data points, when you think about all this, is going to help you, again, as you continue to stack all of these together, going to help you, be set up for long-term success here. And here, let me share my screen again on social. There we go. So that way you guys can see that. Awesome. So like I said, I want to leave plenty of time for questions. I'll leave like 15 minutes here or so. I'll mention like, hey, your homework for tomorrow. So again, this is a challenge. We're focused on taking action, leading with action here, guys. And so, the homework for tomorrow is to come here and get out there. If you're going to use DealMachine, if you're going to start that free trial, now's the time to do it. If that's going to be a tool to help you, like, there's no sense in waiting based on this first step. But we want you to pull your first niche list of leads. So get out there, go find, whether it be the self-storage, properties, whether it be RV park, whether it be mobile home, whether it be, another niche asset class. We've got literally hundreds of data points to filter through. Pull your first niche list of leads, whether it be a handful of leads or, 200 plus. And the big thing to turn in the homework is to email me proof of that. So make sure to pay attention to your email. Everybody should have gotten an email notification from me as we went live on this today. If you didn't, here's my email. I'll put it in the chat, just matt@dealmachine.com. So make sure to reach out to me direct if you weren't getting those email notifications to get on here today. But if you can email me proof, which again, we'll send out this replay after, we'll send out, the homework afterwards as well. But if you can email me that screenshot showing like, hey, yeah, I took, I took that extra step. Whether it be a spreadsheet that you have outside of DealMachine that shows these niche assets, or you're using DealMachine to actually pull these things. Here's that next step is to take that, to show me like, hey, yeah, I'm following along. I'm taking action here. I have my first list of motivated sellers. I'm going to email me proof of that. And if you do that, you're going to qualify for, again, over $2,000 in free prizes. So make sure to do that to be able to enter for the giveaway. The giveaway, we're going to be doing one tomorrow and then one on the final day here on Thursday. So we've got 3 days in a row. We've got giveaways each of those days. If you're going to use DealMachine to help you go through this thing, then I put up the link for you as well with dealmachine.com/HB. That's going to be the 7-day free trial. So we're giving away as much of this for free as we possibly can. It's also going to come with unlimited contact information. So I mentioned that earlier, like the free skip traces. That's already built into DealMachine for you too. So we're going to be talking about that more tomorrow of like, what does that mean? How do you take action on it? Why is that valuable? But you're going to want to come in here with that niche list ready to go, ready to take action on, have the contact information that's built in over these 7 days already included in DealMachine. And then you're going to get 50 free postcards to reach sellers if you want to go that direction too. So we've got a bunch of free bonuses to lay out for you. I know, for everybody going through this thing too, if you're going to be doing this for more than just a few months and you're like, yeah, I'm going to really commit to this, we do have that option for you guys too. It's just dealmachine.com/HB special. And so that's going to be DealMachine Pro, which, has all of our best features unlocked. It's got, if you want to be driving for dollars, that's a whole nother way to be able to build your list of properties. Like that's going to be included on here. You've got, again, all the niche lists that we just showed you here to be able to pull those leads, get up to 50,000 leads in here. You're going to have comps, which we'll go through on day 3. You're going to have our AI assistant, which we're going through on day 3. Really excited to show you guys that as well. You have all the mail and skip tracing and all of that included within DealMachine. We're really hammering that home on day 2 of exactly what to do with that. And all of this together would normally be, like I mentioned, plus unlimited contact info and the postcards. All that together would normally be over $1,800. This is going to be $990. So if you go through DealMachine and be able to do that, awesome, cool. Like we've got that lined up for you here. If you want to be using us for more than just a few months, that's going to get you a way better deal than on our site. But if you just want to try us out and follow along with the free trial this way as well, hey, that's totally fine as well. It's dealmachine.com/HB. So I want to make sure you guys had both those options here for you too before we get to the homework or before we get to the Q&A here. But yeah, happy deal finding. We're excited for you guys to be here and again, lead with action and really lead by doing through these next 3 days. So Heather, is there anything you want to touch on before we get to the questions here?
No, I'm excited for people to try it. I can remember the first time I downloaded DealMachine, I had heard an ad on, I think it was the Bigger Pockets podcast. Probably. This was like years ago when it like didn't have near the features it has now. I can remember downloading it and playing with it for the first time. Sometimes it's a little tricky to get used to just because it's a new software. It's like using anything new. Don't be discouraged. It's pretty intuitive. So as you start clicking around and playing with it, you'll get the hang of it really quickly. I totally suck at tech. So if I can use it, you can use it too. Matt literally has to come on before these things and make sure you can hear me because I can never figure it out myself.
Figure it out. You did pretty good too.
Even if it's a little intimidating at first, you'll be fine. If I can figure it out, you can figure it out. As we're jumping into some of these questions that y'all have, please don't kill me if I butcher your name, but Rasha, your question of when you're approaching an owner of an RV park, besides the P&L, what are some important questions to ask? This is a really great question. I even saw somebody saying here they second that question. You want the profit and loss statement, but if you start out with saying, hey, can I have your profit and loss statement? You're really going to turn them off. RV park owners, similar to self-storage or mobile home park owners, these people are really prideful and really secretive. Most of them aren't on social media, so they don't talk like we do, where they're like, oh, I own this much and I own that much and it cash flows this much. Like they don't use that language. It's really private to them. Think about maybe your parents or your grandparents. They don't typically share their like paycheck stub with you. It's not like openly talked about. So you need to build a relationship with these people before you start just being like, hey, can I have your profit and loss statement? But important questions that you're going to ask them that you need to know besides the profit and loss statement are things like, how many acres do you have? And when they're like, oh, I have 20 acres. You also want to know, how many acres have you used? Like, have you used the entire 20 acres, or does the park sit on 15 acres and 5 acres is unusable, or because it's, a wetland or a whatever, or a lake or a whatever. Or maybe that 5 acres is available for development in the future. You may not have the budget for that now, but you'll want the option to expand at some point. So I'm always asking them about that. If they have no usable land to expand on, I typically ask, do you know if anybody around you has land that you could potentially buy? Because what I can tell you, one of my biggest mistakes is not buying this like 2-acre property that was attached to me at my most profitable RV park, because some crazy people bought it and built some really ugly stuff, like trashy redneck stuff. I don't know how else to describe that. I'm gonna get canceled for the way I describe some of this stuff, but like totally ridiculous looking. Like 2 weeks ago, there was a fire ban in the area because stuff was so dry and you couldn't have fires. And they've got like 3 bonfires going out there. So they'd have the fire department come. Like, it's a total nightmare having them as neighbors. I should have spent, it was only $50,000, y'all. I should have spent the $50,000 and bought 2 acres. Point being, make sure you ask, is there any land for sale around you, or do you know any of the owners? And one of the reasons you want to ask them too is because oftentimes they have relationships with those people. And so it might be better with them introducing the idea of that than you just randomly calling and asking them about it. It could be their buddy, it could be their relative. So make sure you're asking about that land around them for sale. One of the next things you're going to ask is, you're going to ask them if they have public or private utilities. One of your decision making factors is going to be, do they have city water and sewer? Do they have well and septic? Do they have some crazy wastewater treatment plant or lift station, or whatever their arrangement for sewer is? You're going to want to know how their utilities are set up. You're also going to know how many sites they have, or cabins or tents. Like, what's the makeup of their property for that? Because it's going to help you evaluate it. Let's see, what else are we asking them? When you have their profit and loss statement, one of the biggest skills of buying RV parks is learning the art as opposed to the science of evaluating the deals. And part of the art is being able to look through that profit and loss statement and know what's missing and know what's extra. And you're going to want to ask the owner questions like, and you're going to preface it with, I'm not the IRS. I don't call them and talk to them about how you've spent your money. And I know from taxes that it's legal for you to write off your truck and your personal insurance, health insurance, and your cell phone. But in order for me to give you the best offer I can, I need to know what personal expenses that are legal for you to have there. I'm not the IRS. We're not frightened about that. For you to have in here. And oftentimes you're going to see like Pop's brand new truck that you don't actually need to operate the property is in there. You're going to see that Mom and Pop's health insurance is in there. You're going to see that their cousins, uncles, brothers on the payroll, and maybe they show up like once a month, and that doesn't need to be there. So you want to make sure that those income and expenses are things that are going to actually be income and expenses for you also. A couple things on the other side is, sometimes Mom and Pop live in a house on the property. And that property, once they're gone, if you're not planning on operating it yourself and living there, is going to bring an income for you. So you want to know that, hey, I'm going to get an extra. Maybe you're going to short-term rent it. Maybe you're going to have a manager live in it. But you need a plan. There may be additional income there that you could be bringing in. Another thing you're going to look for with that is oftentimes Mom and Pop don't pay themselves. They've got all their expenses somehow wrapped up in the park. So they might be getting very low pay. So let's say, they have 10 employees and you're looking at the profit and loss statement and it shows they only spent $100,000 last year on payroll. Well, we know that for $100,000, you're not getting a whole lot of employees. And that if you aren't going to become Mom and Pop, who are usually equivalent to like 4 people, the amount of hours that they work, you're going to need to hire someone for that. So let's say Mom and Pop's payroll is only $100,000. You may need payroll to be $200,000 because you don't plan on being 4 people or filling that role yourself. You're going to hire a manager. So learning the art of digging through that profit and loss statement Rasha, this answers your question because those are questions you have to ask them. Only they are going to know how to help you dig through that, but it's asking those right questions to get those answers for you. Matt, I know there's some DealMachine questions on here if you want to dig into that.
Yeah, I can knock those out real quick. Let's see. Krista had asked, how much is it after the free trial? So it depends on the plan you're on. We have a $99 a month plan, a $149 a month plan, and then if you're going, fully all in, like 500,000 leads, that would be $499 a month plan. So that comes with, again, all the free skip tracing. It's free contact info included with those those properties, and all the other features I was showing off for you guys here today too. So if you're going month by month, that's your best option. If you're going to say, yeah, I'm going to do this more than a few months, it's DealMachine.com/HB special. I'll pull that up one more time for you here. That would be normally over $1,800. It'll be $990 for the year there too. So you've got a couple options here, depending upon which route you want to take. That HB special link also includes a free trial too. So if you're like, yeah, I want to do that, but I want to try it out first, like that is a free trial as well with it. Lorraine asked,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Lorraine and Eve are asking about, commercial versus residential. There's definitely residential properties on here. Tons of wholesalers and flippers use this. But what we're talking about today, these niche asset classes, those are commercial properties. RV parks, mobile home parks, self-storage, multifamily, those are all commercial properties. So what we just searched for you that Matt's been showing on the screen, those are commercial. So you're able to find both of those on here.
And you've got even just general commercial stuff like vacant land and, commercial buildings and all kinds of, it's literally hundreds of data points here to tap into. So again, go to, this is like the catch-all property type filters. If you just go to that more button up here and then type in property type, and then go to that option that pops up right here, that's going to include a ton of different things. And that's where we were finding like RV parks. And that's where we were finding self-storage and everything that we walked through here today. So good questions.
We've also got Rasha. I need to know how to say your name. I'm so sorry. Do you like postcards or cold calls better? I actually do the letters, not the postcards. There's people who love postcards better. There's some people who love letters. Like we all have our own methods, right? I like the personalized postcard. I even put a little picture in there. Not postcard, letter. I even put a little picture in there. But I combine that with cold calling. We do mail outs and cold calls in conjunction with each other, so that we are like hitting them all around. My team does both. So I know when you're just starting out, sometimes it's not possible to do both, but I highly recommend that you're doing both of those things. Matt, you got any feedback on that? Maybe you have some data on it.
Yeah, I do. So actually tomorrow, that is the subject of tomorrow's deep dive is marketing strategy. So great question. Love where your head's at. Definitely come tomorrow prepared with that homework, which I'll pull up the homework again one more time. It's, having the niche list of leads ready to go. And if you, have that, ready to take action on tomorrow, we're going to be really walking through like, how do you do both of those things? How do you automate as much as possible? How to take action on all that stuff. We'll be really digging into tomorrow. And I'll share data tomorrow as well on like, hey, here's what we're seeing on the 10,000 plus leads or 10,000 plus deals rather done using the app. Like here's what's working time and again for our customers. So, I have that. I saw Dustin ask about non-disclosure states. We do have MLS data for every single state. We even have, we're going to on day 3 dig into comps as well, talking through like, hey, looking at sold data and things like that. So, if you have very specific questions, Dustin, feel free to email me direct. There's me on my team, and then also our head of product is fantastic at being able to dig in and lay out for you guys, hey, here's exactly the type of data that we're working with. So happy to share that as much as possible. Then go ahead.
So David's asking, what states do you recommend not to buy in for mobile home parks and self-storage? So I can't tell you for self-storage. I apologize. I pretty much stick to the niches that I own, which are RV parks, mobile home parks, Section 8 multifamily, and motels. And so for mobile home parks specifically, I stay away from areas that have rent control. I don't want to be in areas that dictate the percentage I can increase the rent. Like, for example, this year, my property taxes went up dramatically, and my property taxes and my insurance went up like 30%. So when I did rent increases, I have to do rent increases based off of how my expenses are increasing and what's going on with the market. And places that have rent control laws don't necessarily do that. So you could end up losing money. There's lots of people who own stuff with places with rent control. I'm not going to say that it's not possible, but I personally stay away from places with rent control. Also, I pay attention to their eviction laws. There's landlord-tenant laws that are different for each state. And the way evictions work, I want to be in my favor, meaning if they're not paying rent, I want to be able to get rid of them as quickly as possible. So my decision to buy in a state or area is related to rent control and landlord-tenant laws. So make sure you're familiar with those for the areas you're in.
Great stuff. And I know we're running a minute over here, so I'll knock out these last couple questions on the Deal Machine front. Krista, has anyone gotten a deal off these challenges? Yes, they have. We've had quite a few people get deals off these. I will say it's only a 3-day challenge that we're doing these next 3 days, right? So we've had people who have gotten deals in the first 7 days on their free trial before. It's not the norm. I will say, like, hey, you in those situations, they found somebody who was motivated, ready to sell right now. But what you are trying to do coming out of this is you're establishing a foundation. So that way, these next 3 days, you get the playbook. You again, may or may not start having conversations with sellers, but you know exactly what to do. You're starting to take action. You're building that momentum, and you're setting yourself up for a killer 2024 if you take action right now. So that's our goal with this, Krista. I love, Robert said software looks great. Appreciate that, Robert. Fantastic. I'll make sure the team knows the compliment as well. And then Keith had asked, does Deal Machine show any existing loans on the property? Yes, they do. If you dig into, we've got everything from that, estimated equity to more info on tax and lien, tax information, lien info. If it's in foreclosure, we've got a ton of information there on, what's going on with the property itself. So I think I answered everything there, Heather. Did you see any other ones standing out there?
Yeah, I want to answer one last one for Rick. So, and guys, if we don't get to these, we'll keep answering questions over the next 3 days. I apologize. We're a little bit over on time. For Rick, you're talking about there's usually 2 types of parks. I talk about this all the time on social media. You've got long-term parks and short-term parks, which is kind of functions like, are they like an apartment complex where they live there for a long time, or are they like a hotel where they stay for an average of 3 or 4 days? You would not want to filter that down, Rick. And the reason is mom and pop aren't always the best operators, even though they're really great people and they love their business. They aren't always like up to date on the best operating strategies. So one of the lowest hanging fruit when you buy an RV park is to buy one of those long-term parks and that are in a great area. And mom and pop just got a little bit tired and didn't want to do the extra work to have that hotel instead of an apartment, because we all know that that's heavier operations. But you could convert and I've done this. You convert a park that has people who are long-term there to a short-term park, and you increase your cash flow dramatically by doing that. And if you have filtered that out, you would have lost that opportunity to buy that park and convert it to a short-term park. So you wouldn't want to filter those things out.
Great way to think about it. Amazing. Good questions, everybody. And like I said, I don't want to run too far over on you guys. I appreciate everybody who's joined. I know we've had people in every single time zone here today. Heather, anything else you wanted to add before? Again, it's going to be tomorrow and the next day, same time, same link. When we go through this tomorrow. And tomorrow is really focused on how do you take action on these leads. It's going to be marketing. So
yeah, guys, just make sure you don't miss it. I know some people start out really strong. They come the first day and then it falls off. I want 2024 to be amazing for y'all. So make sure you show up so we can talk to you tomorrow about those marketing strategies so that you're able to utilize this to its full potential. Can't wait to see y'all tomorrow.
There we go. Awesome, everybody. See you same time, same place tomorrow. And make sure to finish that homework in the meantime. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Heather.